Some time ago I installed some tram wheels on this little digger here. And the system works really well. I used it for several weeks now and I never had any problem with it. That is of course only true as long as I stay on the main track. From the moment I pass switches, there is a problem. And indeed, I already derailed the thing several times. These little wheels I installed, as you can see, they are too small. Of course on the underside, same as here. To be good, they should come over here, same height. But we cannot find this kind of wheels from the right dimensions. So I suppose there's only one thing left to do. Let's make some. And here's more or less the idea. The height of the tracks, of course this represents the track of the digging machine, right? The height is 360 millimeters. And I would like to make wheels same diameter. But of course, whatever kind of wheel that will ride on a track needs a flange. And I measured on different types of vehicles we have. And the height of the flange is 20 millimeters. And because I want to make my brand new wheels out of a steel plate with a ring welded on it, the plate itself needs to be 360 plus 20, but of course all around, which means 400 millimeter circle. That also means that because of we have here 20 millimeter stick out above and of course below the track, if I go off rails in the dirt, it will leave traces of 20 millimeter deep. But that's not the big problem. The problem is here on the lathe, between the center of the spindle and the bed. I have a maximum distance of 185 millimeters, which means that the maximum diameter of the plate I can make to make my wheel is 370 millimeters and not 400. It's 30 millimeters short. But I will make this plate at a diameter of 370 so I can put it on the lathe, and then over here I have to cut a ring that you will see later, and that will take of course this ring that a local workshop made for me. Of course I paid for them. Most rails we have are somewhere between 55 and 60 millimeters, and this ring is 60, and by the way with a thickness of 8, diameter 360, exactly the diameter of the tracks of the digging machine. Now I asked the local workshop to make them because over here I don't have the tools to make this nice and round things, of course. As for the back plate itself, which is of course also the flange, I have this nice piece of 10 millimeter thick rusty steel and also very dirty. And over here, maybe you can see it, there is a little bit of bend in this plate. But if I put my 2 rings on here, the bend is here, so I think it's gonna work. But first, clean up. I just finished drawing the outlines of both circles, both wheels, and also the 8 bolt pattern that comes here in the center, of course. And I think it's time to break out the angle grinder. After way too long angle grinding and belt sanding and cutting and I don't know what thing, let's do a little test fit. I installed the center, and of course this center needs to fall into this center, right? Here I need 2 millimeter more. And here it could work. Two millimeter. Same. Could work. To make it a bit easier, I think I'm first gonna center drill this with a real center drill and drill these 8 holes for the bolts. And of course, this machine is also too small to drill the center. But at least I can drill these. This one doesn't cut anymore. But at least now it cuts. To drill this center hole, maybe the milling machine could work. Well, let's go for it. That's good. after 2 afternoons of angle grinding, I finally made it fit. And because I was a bit tired of grinding and try to fitting, put it on, take it off, grind again, put it on, try again, I made a tiny little cutout here in the bed of the lathe with a file. The kind of thing I absolutely don't like to do, but in this case I don't have too much problems with it, because this tiny little rail here, I will show this one is for the tailstock and only the tailstock. But over here the tailstock cannot reach because of course the carriage is in the way. So the main rail for the head, no, not the headstock, the main rail for the carriage is this one and this one, and of course I didn't touch. And of course also after angle grinding here on the lathe itself, I did a serious, but a really serious cleanup, because I don't want this grinding dust on this machine. Now, what is the plan? I would like to do 2 things on this one here. First of all, make it circular, of course, because for the moment it isn't. And then in the center, cut a tiny little groove, and then after, when I take it out of the lathe, I can fit this 10mm round and then bend it all around and weld it on. And the second operation is make a groove so that this ring can be centered before welding. And also it's round but not perfectly round. So this groove will hold this thing in place. And then after I can cut it to size. That was a lot of chatter. But I think it will work just fine. To cut the groove in the face of this plate, I have this nice little 3-panning tool. Take it out, show you, with a little bit rounded. But of course, as always, there's a problem. With this stick out, I think it's more or less the maximum, so this tool cannot go further out. The top slide is at maximum that way, cannot go further. And the carriage of the lathe is almost touching my workpiece here, which means this tool cannot go further in here. Which means time to make a new tool. I have a nice piece of high-speed steel here, and this is 20 by 8. And as you can see, this already a little bit an angle on here, so I will not have too much work making a new one. Let's go for it. I think this one will work just fine. It's just that because of the width there is a lot of tool pressure, and because of the top slide is far out and the tool will be even more far out, there is not much rigidity. This top slide idea is not really rigid. So I think I first want to give it a rough out shape with a triangular tool. The groove is now 3 millimeters deep. And of course, because it's a 60-degree tool, the sides are in V shape. And I don't really see the need of using the 3-panning tool to make it square, to make it 90 degrees. Because as is, it will be easier to press this ring in place. I mean, if it's straight, this ring is not round. It's almost round, but it's not perfect. And that's why I cut this groove, of course, so I can press it together and it will more or less find its place in this groove. And I think it will be easier to make it enter if the sides are a bit in an angle instead of straight. So I'm gonna leave it as is and see if I can assemble it. I think it was a good idea to leave the groove in V shape. As you can see, I installed the thing here in the vise and squeezed, and I have all clamps here. And I think I'm ready to tack weld it together. I'm almost running out of gas for my welder here, but I have a reel of this gasless wire I can use. But because this wire is very smoky, I installed my welding toys outside. Let's go for it. I think I figured out why it doesn't weld anymore. My wire here made a big knot. What a mess. I think I'm gonna stop using this useless wire here because it makes terrible mess. It makes a lot of smoke and you cannot really see what you're doing. Maybe you can, but I can't see what I'm doing. So all this is now lost, goes in waste. And the welds look terrible. Now I have to admit, in the beginning the thing was spinning way too fast, but then I stopped my welding rotator and I spin by hand, and every time weld a little bit and stop and weld a little bit, and it just doesn't work. I give it a bit more current, but still just doesn't work. So my idea now is to put this thing back in the lathe and then turn off a little bit these ugly welds here and re-weld it, but this time with real and good wire. I changed my plans a little bit. After cutting this first weld I made here, I think it's good enough. So I left as is. It's not perfect, but let's not forget that these are machine parts. These are not pieces of art or whatever. And of course also I did cut the 1/20 taper on both. And I think the result is okay. All that's left to do now is bend this 10mm round over here and weld it. because I'm almost out of gas for my MIG welder, I decided to stick weld here all around. Of course, both sides here on the back side too. And I think it was a nice occasion because I would like to learn again to stick weld like a real welder. And as you can see, I still have a lot to learn. But these welds are not structural. I mean, it's just to fill the gap between the round bar and this flat surface. And I still haven't made the second wheel because, as it happens so many times, it is Friday and this video has to come out. So I will stop here, and I promise you in one of upcoming videos you will see these things in action.